Okay, so what? Feeling like you don't have enough? Feeling like someone else is taking what is rightfully yours? Like, how would you define jealousy?
An emotion of lack of.
An emotion
So,
of lack of?
so feelings of lack of, that there isn't an abundance, lack of abundance mindset.
Yeah. And like, so fear that things are going to be taken away, and fear that you're not going to get something that you feel that you deserve, that you're expecting a certain reward, and that is now taken away from you for some reason or another. And so I feel, so jealousy then would stem from a position of wanting something,
Mm-hmm.
from a position of feeling like we deserve something. So it's a, so the first one, the wanting, is like a desire. The second one is like an expectation. So you're holding on to a notion of something that's going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is an aversion, is that you don't want to feel like that you're left out, that you don't want to also miss out. Like, so an
Aversion.
aversion to not feeling like, to that feeling of being isolated, or that feeling of being left out, or that feeling of being alone. Yeah, that everyone else is doing this and I'm not, or something like that. So jealousy is stemming from like these things, and so it's an attachment, and the best way that we can kind of change our understanding of this, or not the best way, sorry, like the easiest, one of the simple way to do this is to change our understanding of what it is that we mean by me. So if it's like jealousy is very much centered on me, that like I want this, I expected this, I don't want to this, don't want to miss out on this. So it's a very separate, it's a very isolated view of yourself straight away. We're not taking into account the situation as being a part of us and our response to the situation, and we're not taking into account a perception difference that would make into account for the self. So we're getting off into the world of delusion, because none of this is actually kind of real. It's kind of like trying to predict the future, putting all your eggs in this future prediction of what it's going to be like, and then realizing that you're not a fortune teller, and that the laws of physics don't just enable you to predict like everything in the complexity of what is going on in the future. So being able to understand what is going to happen when we put in all the complexity, although there's cause and effect, and we'll be able to predict elements and parts, and we're increasingly able to predict more and more. It's still a prediction, and there's still a chance that odds that something abnormal might transpire. So if we see ourselves as a limited, and especially then if we are identifying as the self being this body and this mind and the sensations, the feelings and thoughts, if that's what we identify as being us, then we're going to constantly be seeking for kind of thought stimulation of, we're going to want our thoughts to be pleasing to us. We're going to want our environment to be pleasing to us. And this is all very subjective. What is pleasing to one person may not be pleasing to another. Once you have greater understanding, then more things become pleasing potentially, or more things become unpleasing as we delve in deeper. So just the notion that that I am a body and a mind and a feelings is identifying with the sensory technology. The body is a tool, or the mind is this tool, and I am the underlying actor in this. I am willing my body to move and to create and do what it wants. In the same token and time that the body is also acting on a specific kind of understanding in how it codes and is shaped, and how the environment is also then acting on the specific understanding of its physical properties and relations to each other. So if we from our identification with ourselves, isolating ourselves, comparing ourselves in a way that makes us feel unworthy, or that someone has more than us, or any of those things, then we're fundamentally not being like one kind to ourselves, because we're kind of going into that and going to perpetuate and create that feelings and those thoughts to come up more and more, and that means you're going to act in a way that is closed off. And if we're really then closing off, because then we're afraid to lose or to not have that expectation met. So if we close off and try and control and predict everything and kind of box everything off, then what we end up doing is we end up starting to lose our ability to act in things the way that they are, and to be able to use our energy and our resources in a way that maximizes our potential for harmonization, for creating unity in our lives. So, changing the understanding of self to you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the underlying seer, you are the underlying observer of this life, and you are able to act and to will this life dependent on your ability and skill. And the second is that this same pervasive underlying observer and seer that is you is also acting throughout the universe, is also acting throughout creation, and is fundamentally the same sense. It's fundamentally the same no thing that is in play here. No thing is the accumulations of all the things creates a no thing. The no things creates the things. So an identification as all, as self, as already having everything, as there is nothing that can be taken that could do you any real serious harm or damage, really helps to mitigate these feelings of jealousy. So if we can see ourselves, one, as not defined by the body, the mind, the feelings, but as an underlying observer or consciousness to that body, that mind or that feelings, you are observing the body sensations, you are observing the thoughts, you're observing the feelings, and then it's your choice on how to act. And it's the accumulations of these choices in the past that then helps to get reinforced by our memory and our feelings and thoughts in the action that we take. So an identification with this consciousness, with this observation, and an identification that this is throughout all, that this is the same as all else. This is the same fundamental reality that is everything else, that you are not separate, that you already have everything, that you are everything. So if you are everything, if you already have everything, then there is nothing to want. If you already have everything and you already are everything, then what's the point of any expectation? It will be this one time, will be the other time. You already are everything. There is no reason to be expectant. It is all yours. It doesn't matter if it's this or if it doesn't matter if it's that. It is both fundamentally the same. And in both this and that. So if we are identifying ourselves as the consciousness, as the spiritual being following the guide of life, being following God, following the reality, the truth, then we mitigate against this feeling of lack. We mitigate against all these feelings of inferiority, that we have to do something, that we mitigate against these expectations that we holding on to, that we then lose sight of potential pivots and shifts that we can be making that can, really harmonize and make life so much more, so much more freeing, so much more abundant than we ever thought possible. So it's fundamentally an identification with the consciousness or the spiritual being, the identification with everything being fundamentally a part of the self. And if we see ourselves in everything and everything in ourselves, then we could not be jealous. We could not think that we deserve more or anything like that if we feel that we already have everything, that we already are everything. There is no lack, there is no want, there is no expectations if we just can live in the grace, in this present moment, in the faith that everything is as it needs to be, and that we are everything doing what needs to happen. So what is before us, what is happening now, what situation you find yourself is what is needed, and there is no lack. So how could you ever feel jealous? So it's cultivating this kind of understanding, cultivating this mind. And this is what, the practice, that's what the practice is to continually join and harmonize and unify these different understandings into a holistic understanding that is with us and that empowers us, and that doesn't get us into this victim or this person that can't act or that can't make a difference. So if you're feeling jealous or feeling that there is some kind of lack in your life, the first thing is changing that thought, thinking of what it is that, thinking of the blessings, being grateful. Keep on coming back to what it is that you do have, and how is it that you're using what it is that you do have most effectively, most efficiently in this moment. And focus on that, because that is what is right before you. That is what's something that you can do and you can change now. And for those people who are using what they've already got now in a harmonious way, in a balanced way, then those people are given more, and those people have shown their value and shown that they can manage that resource or manage that, that abundance, and they get that blessing of more abundance. And so once you can get over that limiting attitude, the abundance will start to flow, and you'll start to know where the opportunities lie that align with where you need to go. And that's how you can get over jealousy. It's changing your understanding of yourself. Simple. Peace.